talk to your county agents to get more details on that.
State cost share doesn't do grass seed; it just does clover. But I can talk about Cape. I've got some on the Cape program because last year they didn't have novel, and this year they do. So I've got the 4, and a few more slides right here will be the novel varieties.
Hold it close.
Okay, I know everybody's tired. I know it's getting to the end of the day. So Ray's got me for 15 minutes. I'm going to try to do it in about 10. That puts 5 minutes to the other side so we can get you on home a little bit earlier. My name's Adam Jones. I work for the Natural Resource Conservation Service. If you've been following in Progressive Farmer on any of the farming news, USDA is going through some big changes. We're really seeking out some efficiencies. So probably if I come back next year and talk, it will just be Adam Jones USDA. We're shooting for a 1 USDA, and you'll see this here in a second. Secretary Perdue has been on board about a year now, and I really like his philosophy. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read through it. But the 2 key words here, in his philosophy is good stewards, and then he talks about our fields and what we leave it in better shape than what we found it. And I think that's part of what this Alliance for Grassland Renewal is. We're trying to leave these pastures in better shape than what we found them. So I've had this on my desk, so I thought it really tied in well for what we're here for today and what we're trying to do. The first big change came out in February the 1st is Farm Service Agency, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and the Risk Management Agency are merging into 1 USDA. For most of you, that doesn't mean anything except for the fact this is the website. It's farmers.gov. Easy to remember, nothing tricky about it. And for us, if you go right here to the center, Natural Resource Conservation Service, that will take you directly to our webpage. The reason I'm here and the privilege that I have to talk to you is about financial assistance. And right up here is where you can click, and that will start you in the process. We've done as good a job as we can right now getting a lot of things automated. We still have offices. We still have staff that if you want to walk in and talk to somebody, we welcome it. And we really like that face-to-face interaction because that gives us a better idea. If you call and say, I want to seed my pastures, there's a lot of questions involved with that. If you get online and put in something about pastures, I have no idea really what you want. And until I put boots on the ground, then I can figure out what we need, what we've got, where we can go with it. So the first step, though, is to get you some information on financial assistance. And hopefully that leads about 2 more steps to having somebody stand on your farm and talk to you about what you want to do, what your short-term goals are, what your long-term goals are, what resources you have. As you go through the steps to assistance, what we just talked about, boots on the ground, is the planning phase. What you've got, what you want, and then what we can do for you to get you there. Application, if you decide that you want financial assistance, we go through an application process. Of the group we have here, how many of you have worked with a USDA cost share financial assistance program? We've got a few. If you're interested, these are the people. Of course, what I tell you is going to say, yeah, the government's great. Talk to the people that had a hand up and get the honest input of what they experienced. I'm quite certain some of them have a positive experience. Some of them may not have a positive experience. So, talk to your neighbors. If you're in a cattleman's group, whatever type of group you're in, who's participated and what their experience was. The next step is eligibility. Farm Service Agency handles that, and in another slide I'll show you exactly what they're looking for. If you just bought a piece of property, you're new to farming, this is all new to you, you've never enrolled in a government program, Farm Service Agency will be your first step as they help you sort out your eligibility, get you a farm number, get some of those questions answered. Then it goes back to the NRCS again for the ranking phase. And then lastly, the implementing. And that's when, like we've already seen on the variety trials, that's when we start having grass come up. We look at the best management practices. It doesn't matter whether it's horses, cattle, sheep, goats, poultry, whether your concerns are soil, water, air, plants, animals, humans, energy. We're here to help you with what you want. We're not regulatory. We're not forcing anything down your neck. It's trying to put together, maybe you went to a meeting at, an extension type meeting and the agents talked about something and you're like, I think I want to do that. How can I get help putting that in? Right now my bank account's a little skinny. You can come in and we can sit down and say, okay, the agent talked about this. How can we build on that? How do we take that from the idea that you had and the research that they've done to getting something on your farm? And then we just go through the planning process. We look to you. We're not going to force you to do anything. It's what you want and what you can do. Common question we get is, well, I can't afford all that in 1 year. That's fine. Can you do it in 5 years? Can you do it in 10 years? As long as you're taking baby steps, we're fine. We can work with you on whatever you want. We've seen many times today, don't bite off a whole farm renovation. Maybe do 25%. If you want to do 25%, I grew up in West Virginia, so my math is still kind of rough, but about 25% times 4 years, and you could have a whole farm renovated. And we could work with you each year to do however many acres you wanted to do to get you to that 100%. We've got conservation districts in we've got 121 conservation districts in 120 counties, which is proof positive no matter what, people can't get along. But every county, we've got a county office. Stop in and talk to your local conservation district, and they might be your first point of contact to what programs work for me. And the reason I say that is we've got several different programs. Just within the USDA, under the 2014 Farm Bill, we've got EQIP, Environmental Quality Incentives Program. We got CSP, Conservation Stewardship Program, and RCPP, Regional Conservation Partnership Program. I know those are a lot of different acronyms. Largely, they do the same thing, but they're kind of like, maybe your mom had a cookie jar that was for the electric bill and a cookie jar that was for the gas bill and a cookie jar that was for groceries. It's kind of the same concept. We've got different programs. We're trying to plug you into a program that best fits you and your operation. And then lastly, paid for by the Master Settlement Funds, is Kentucky Ag Development, the County Ag Investment Program. That may be your county agent, may be the one administering that. It may be the conservation district. It may be another third party that's administering that. All of these can help you with pasture renewal, getting seed on the ground, as well as a lot of other ag programs and ag practices. So where do you go? What's FSA going to ask for you when you walk in? They're going to know what the ownership is. Do you own it yourself? Are you in a partnership with a spouse? Are you in a partnership with a sibling? Is it an LLC? They'll want to see a copy of your deed, and that's just proving that you own what you say you own. They're going to create a map for your farm. They're going to ask some questions about adjusted gross income. That sounds crazy, and there's limits. If you make more than a certain amount, you just can't get government assistance, and that's the way it is. Highly erodible land and wetland compliance, and that's basically that you're farming responsibly. We're here to help you, get you plugged into the program that best fits you. We saw a drill today, not choosing any one brand, that's the picture I happen to have. But, if you want to do a seeding, which a lot of you coming today might want to, talk to you specifically. What seed variety do you want to use? Because that goes strictly to the size of seed we're going to do. If you want to do a novel, what variety of novel? And then talk to your NRCS planner, because they're going to prepare you a job sheet, and it's going to be very specific. Amount of seed, amount of fertilizer. So you need to be specific on what you want to do. Same thing on the seed tag, and you've already seen these slides before. The analogy I give is we go to the store and you watch people turning nutrition labels over. Real concerned about what they're eating. This is what your livelihood may be coming from. This is what your livestock will be eating. If you're eating the livestock that you raise, this is what you're eating. Pay attention to your seed tags. That's the biggest issue we run into a lot, is people who don't really pay attention to what their seed tags say. We'll create you a job sheet, and it goes through step by step what you need to do. Your fertility, we've talked a lot today about fertility, seed bed preparation, and it just gets all spelled out. How you want to do a herbicide treatment. Jimmy did a real good job on the different options, and we're open to all those options. We just want to get it down so when you leave our office 6 months later, you're getting ready to do a seeding, you're like, no, what did we say? And you open up your folder and you've got it right in front of you. Then we get into, this is why it's important to talk to your planner about what you're going to do and what you want to do. because we're going to talk to you about what species, pounds per acre, total seed, method, dates, fertility, then additional notes, anything we need to do. If you're looking at specifically what you're going to be doing, if you want to do a novel fescue, and it comes down to forage and biomass planting. And it doesn't matter whether you do CSP, EQIP, RCPP, they're all going to be the same practice. That's just a governmental code that you want to improve your forages. Any of these programs have the same practice. So there's opportunities to get you plugged into any of the programs. And the same thing, we're trying to do our best to stay close to what industry recommends. So our standards hold to that 5% infection rate. The only issue that we run into is on size of farms. We'd like for it to be at least 5 contiguous acres, or for smaller operations, 5% of the forage base. I spoke to someone earlier, if we're converting cropland over, we're going to also add in prescribed grazing, so that if we're going to spend the money to get that established, we want you to manage it in a responsible fashion. The ag development funds, not administered by the USDA, but they're the master settlement funds, and they're administered at the state level. You will have to have a soil test. You can get reimbursed. You can't get reimbursed for your labor, but you can get reimbursed for if you rent a no-till drill. And as I said, here's the varieties right now that are approved for payment. Some of the agents probably know Mike Wilson. He did a project with us, and he took old nasty fescue, and it wasn't just fescue, it was a rough looking field, and converted over to novel endophyte, and it's beautiful. It's a textbook, and you might have taken that picture. Tommy, did you take it? Okay, Mike sent it to me. I said, Mike, do you have a picture of that? And he sent it to me. So I don't have a clock, but that's all that I have. Are there any questions? Anybody that has something's rolling around in the back of your head? How can you get plugged in? Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll have to have what we call a control of land form, and it can be either your lease, or if it's one of these things you've got a verbal agreement. We've got a kind of a template form you can take and get signed, but it just shows that you have control of the land for 5 years. Hold on, wait, that's West Virginia. 5 years. Anybody else? I told you I was going to try to get through this fast. If you have any questions, you stop by your local conservation district, and they'll get a planner out there and can start on the process to see what program best suits you.